Hello friends, welcome to this channel and today we are going to discuss about the fundamentals of breaker failure protection. And the breaker failure protection, as you are already aware that this protection is already also called LBB or local breaker backup protection, breaker failure or breaker failure relay, then this 50 BF, that is 50 breaker failure, or stuck breaker protection or back trip protection also. So there are many names for the same protection, and generally the breaker failure protections are studied along with the bus bar protection. But since we have not covered the bus bar protection yet, so we will discuss the some of the concepts relevant to bus bar protection during this bus bar protection session only, but all other concepts which are the generic concepts, which are the general fundamental concepts, are to be studied in this session only. And the breaker failure protection, as you see here, if you remember, then the first session on the lecture 1, and this session is available in both Hindi and English, I have already discussed about the distance protection basic concepts. And in the distance protection basic concepts, I have discussed about 2 or 3 zones, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and there I have said that the zone 2 and zone 3 are basically the backup zones. So zone 2 and zone 3 are backup zones. Similarly, if I am going to discuss about the breaker failure protection, and I have said earlier that this is LBB or local breaker backup. So if you focus on this second terms, this is local breaker backup. That means this is also backup, this is also backup, and there is definitely some relation between this zone 2, zone 3 and between this LBB, and that's why I am going to discuss this breaker failure protection in this session. And if you are new to this session, then you may subscribe this channel for more protection related sessions, more protection related theoretical as well as practical sessions. Or if you are already you have joined this channel, then you are already aware that in this channel we have already published many videos on protection related topics. So coming back to today's session, I am going to start with this session without further delay. So let us start with the breaker failure protection and what is the main aims and objectives for this breaker failure protection. And for that matter, the aims and objectives of any protection system. So the major objective of any protection system is to clear the fault with minimum time delay. So what is the meaning of minimum time delay? If you see, the minimum means 0 millisecond. And if you can recall from the first session, then I have already stated that in power system 0 is nothing. 0 means simply no intentional time delay. But a power system, in a power system, a protective relaying system cannot isolate fault in 0 millisecond. But it will take some time depending upon the relay algorithm and depending upon the breaker opening time. This time may be from 2 to 3 cycles. So the minimum time required for fault isolation is 2 to 3 cycles, and for a 50 Hz system this time will be from 40 to 60 milliseconds. So minimum 40 to 60 millisecond time is required for isolation of fault, and our objective is always to clear the fault within this minimum time only, so as to avoid the large scale disturbances and to minimize the stress on the power system. Second thing is to minimize the disruption to the power system. What is the meaning of minimize the disruption of the power system? Is, suppose these are 3 substations and there are 2 transmission lines connected between these 3 substations, and suppose there is a fault on this transmission line. So our objective is always to isolate only this section instead of this 2 section, and this is called the minimization of disruption to the power system. If the protection system operates correctly and isolates only this faulted section, then our purpose is solved and we will have only a minimum disruption to the power system. So these are the major objectives of any protection system. First is to clear the fault with minimum time delay, and second is the minimum disruption to the power system. Generally, 2 types of backup protections are used. One is remote backup and second is local backup, and I am going to discuss about both of these two in the coming slides. First, the remote backup. As you can see, and I have already discussed in the first theoretical session. So go to the playlist, and then in the distance protection playlist, go to this lecture 1, and there you will see this discussion on zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, their time delay, their reach settings, how these reach settings are determined, how the timing coordinations are done. Everything I have discussed over there. So I am not going to discuss these things again over here. Only thing that I am going to discuss is, now suppose there are 3 transmission lines, one between the substation A and B, second transmission line is between substation B and C, and third transmission line is between substation C and then the next substation, suppose D. And this 21, as you are already aware, is for distance. So 21A means distance protection at substation A, 21B is for distance protection at substation B, and likewise you may have a protection over here which is 21C, that is distance protection at substation C. Now the first thing is that, suppose there is a fault on this transmission line BC. So the main thing is that if there is a fault on transmission line BC, then your protection at this end and protection at this end should operate, and both those protections should isolate or operate the breakers at their respective ends, and then the fault will be isolated. But now suppose due to any of the reason this fault is not isolated from substation B. So what are the available resources for us to isolate this fault from the system now? So now focus on this transmission line AB. This is zone 1, and what I have already studied or I have already explained is that zone 1 is basically 80% of principal transmission line impedance, that is 80% of Z1B. That's why zone 1 is set up to this point, which is suppose 80% of principal transmission line. Zone 2 is 120 or 150% of your principal transmission line impedance. So this is your zone 2, which is suppose 120%. And then zone 3, which is your main line plus the remote substation longest transmission line into 120%. So this is your zone 3 up to this point. Now suppose there is a fault at this point. So if there is a fault at this particular point, the protection system at this substation will pick up. At the same time, the protection system at this substation sees this fault in zone 3. So zone 3 here will pick up. Now if everything is okay, then the protection system here will operate and isolate the fault. But suppose due to any reason, suppose that this relay fails to pick up, or this relay doesn't detect any fault, or suppose this relay detects a fault, it issues a trip command but breaker fails to open, then your fault is not isolated from here. So now after a time delay of zone 3, whatever it is the setting, suppose it is 1 second or 1.5 second. So after this time delay, zone 3 will operate and it will isolate the fault. But remember, in case the zone 3 operates, the disadvantage is that first of all, your fault will be isolated only after this zone 3 time delay of 1 second or 1.5 second. So this will be a slow clearance of fault. That is the first limitation. And the second thing, since when this zone 3 operates, it will trip this line AB, and so there is a large scale disturbances. So the fault was in line BC, but your line AB also trips. So the disturbances or the disruption in the power system is more in case of remote backup protection operation. So this is the disadvantages. First, it is slow. Second, limited discrimination. And the advantages are, first of all, it is not affected by local station conditions, and second, it contributes to both relay and CB failure protection. I have already explained what is the meaning of relay and CB failure protection. Suppose this relay fails to detect the fault, then also zone 3 will operate. Suppose relay detects the fault but breaker fails to open, then also zone 3 will operate. So it will contribute to both relay and CB failure. And second thing, since it is not affected by local station condition, how? Because this zone 3 is of this protection system, the protection system at this substation. So if you are using any conditions, any relay which is at this substation, so there is a chance that due to the reason your one protection is not operated, so this Second, backup protection might not operate for the same region also. So in order to avoid those local conditions, your remote backup protection will always operate because it is not affected by those local conditions. So now these local backup protections, basically local backup protections are faster, they have improved sensitivity, and they minimize the network disruption. What is the meaning of this minimizing the network disruptions and this improved sensitivity? Suppose this is your 3 transmission lines between 2 substations. So this is your substations A, B, C, and these are 2 transmission lines. And now suppose this end you have one distance protection relay, and this end also you will have one distance protection relay. This end also you will have one distance protection relay. You will have one circuit breaker over here. This is circuit breaker over here. One circuit breaker you will have here. And suppose there is a fault at this particular point. So once there is a fault, this relay will sense the fault and it will issue a trip command to the circuit breaker. Similarly, this relay will see the fault and it will issue a trip command to the circuit breaker. If everything is okay, then this circuit breaker will open, this circuit breaker will also open, and the fault will be isolated. Now suppose due to any reason this relay fails to detect the fault. So what happens if this relay fails to detect the fault? Then your fault will not be isolated and fault will continue to persist in the system. So now what you can do, you can have a separate protection relay. Suppose this is your 21.1. So you can have a 21.2 which is main 2, and this is called duplicate protection system or duplicate relay system. So you will have duplicate relay or relay backup it is called. So you will have relay backup. In that case, suppose due to any reason first relay fails to detect the fault, then your second relay might detect the fault and it will isolate the fault. So this is the one condition. Second condition is that you can have in this circuit breaker you can have 2 separate tripping coils. So you can have 2 trip coils, trip coil 1 and trip coil 2. And suppose due to any reason trip coil you are using only one trip coil, so then it might happen that this relay is operated correctly. It has sent a tripping command to this trip coil, but this trip coil is faulty, so it cannot operate the circuit breaker, and breaker fails to open, and your fault will not be cleared. But if you are having 2 trip coils in your circuit breakers, then if suppose one trip coil is faulty, then also your fault will be isolated through second trip coil. So this is called the duplicate breakers. Definitely you cannot duplicate the breakers. What you can duplicate is duplicate the trip coils. The advantage is that in case you are duplicating this protection system or you duplicating this trip coil, you are isolating this fault through this circuit breaker only or through this local substation only. So your disturbance is limited to this transmission line only. So in this case your disruption to the network is minimum as compared to remote backup. But the disadvantage is it is affected by local condition. And second, the chances of accidental operations. Based on these things, there are 2 different concepts. One is called security and another is called dependability. First of all, security. Security means no unwanted operations. So suppose there are 2 transmission line or 3 transmission lines like this between these substations. So now suppose there is this fault in your substation, and what you want is that your protection system should operate only in case of this fault, but you doesn't want your system to operate in case there is no fault in the system. So the first thing is that you doesn't want any unwanted operation in the system, that is security. And second thing, guaranteed to operate when required. Whenever there is a fault on the system, you want your protective relay protection system to clear the fault immediately, and that is dependability. Now the local backup protection. What is the meaning of local backup protection? I have already explained in the previous slide that there are 2 types of local backup. First is relay backup, which is the provision of duplicated main protection schemes, that is main 1 and main 2 for in case of transmission lines or in case of bus bars, while in case of transformers it can be differential or REF. So this is the duplicated main protection schemes. Then the breaker backup. as I have already stated in the last slide, we cannot duplicate the circuit breakers, but we can duplicate trip coils. So we can have two trip coils, trip coil 1 and trip coil 2 for a single breakers, but still there is a problem because you have a common physical mechanism. What is the meaning of common physical mechanism? Suppose this is a 400 kV or 765 kV circuit breakers having two interrupters. So this is your circuit breakers which have two interrupters. Suppose this is your circuit breakers with two interrupters, and now this is your pull rod which is connected to this operating mechanism of circuit breaker. So this is your operating mechanism. Now in this operating mechanism, suppose this operating mechanism operates after the energization of tripping coil, trip coil 1 or 2, this operating mechanism operates. Now the thing is that it will operate this this pull rod, and it will try to open this main contact and the fixed contact and the moving contacts of the circuit breaker. But what happens when this pull rod fails? Because this is a common pull rod. So yet again your breaker cannot open and your fault cannot be isolated. Another thing, it might happen that your operating mechanism is faulty. So even if your trip coil is energized but operating mechanism is faulty, it cannot operate the circuit breaker. So generally the operating mechanism of circuit breakers are of three types. Your operating mechanism can be of three types. That is, first is spring which is very common nowadays. But then you can have spring pneumatic, or the next thing you can have hydraulic mechanism. So in any case, these are only a single mechanism for one breaker, single mechanism box. So if this mechanism fails due to any reason, suppose motor is faulty or suppose air pressure is very low, so in that case your breaker again since the operating mechanism is faulty, so fault cannot be isolated. So due to these reasons, there is a requirement of another protection for the isolation of fault. That separate protection is called breaker failure protection, and this breaker failure protection is generally used to backtrip the fault in phase in case of local breaker failure, and we will discuss this in the next slide. Then it is initiated when tripping has occurred, only initiated in case your tripping has occurred. So this is very important, only initiated when tripping has occurred. Sometimes it is called stuck breaker protection or back tripping protection. So now what is this back tripping and inter tripping? So I am considering here a simple system in which there is a single bus bar with 5 different feeders connected to this, which is A, B, C, D and E. Suppose the feeder A is protected by using a main protection, and now there is a fault on this transmission line A. So in case there is a fault on this transmission line, generally your protection system will operate. It senses the fault, it will operate, and it will issue a trip command to the circuit breaker, and if everything is correct, then your circuit breaker will open and fault will be isolated. But the thing is that suppose this protection fails to operate, then your fault will not be isolated. But now suppose you have two protections and any one of those protections operated, it now issues a trip command to circuit breaker, but your circuit breaker fails to operate. In that case, what happens? If your circuit breaker fails to open, then the fault will not be cleared. So what you need now is a separate protection system, and that protection system is called breaker failure protection or breaker failure relay. So generally, when this main protection senses a fault, what it does is it issues a trip command to this circuit breaker, and at the same time it sends a signal to this relay that your protection has operated. So this signal it sends that the protection operated, and this signal is called your LVB initiation. So the moment your LVB relay or the breaker failure relay sees a signal like LVB initiation, its timer will start. So one timer will start. Timer starts. Timer when it starts with the LVB initiation or it starts with the protection operation. So now this timer will keep on calculating the counting the time from 0, 1, 2 to suppose 100. Now after this 100 millisecond, what it is monitoring is simply the current. Suppose this protection operated correctly, it has issued the trip command and breaker opens. In that case, your current is 0. So once its current, it sees the current 0, so the breaker failure protection timer will automatically reset and it will do nothing. But If after the elapse of suppose this time, this relay still sees current, that is current is not 0, then what it does is it issues a separate trip command to this circuit breaker again, and that tripping command after this elapse of first timer is called trip repeat. So it will issue a trip command to its breaker, and that is called trip repeat, and once it issues a trip command, it will again the timer will keep on running from 101, 102 to suppose 200, and in between this, if it sees the current is equal to 0, then it is okay. But again, if it sees the current is not equal to 0, then what happens is that now it sees that, oh, even after the elapse of this timer, current is not 0, that definitely there is a problem in the circuit breaker. So now it will issue a trip command to all the connected circuit breakers of local end. So it will issue a trip command to this circuit breaker, this circuit breaker, this circuit breaker, and this circuit breaker, and this is called back tripping. Back tripping. Also, it will send a trip signal to the remote end if the remote end is not already open. So it will send a trip command to remote end because remote end is also feeding the fault to isolate the remote end, and that is called inter-tripping. So this is the basic concept of LVB protection, and this is the concept of back tripping and inter-tripping. So whenever there is a fault on this transmission line, this feeder will be feeding the fault, this is feeding the fault, this is feeding the fault, and this is also feeding the fault. So if after the lapse of LVB timer T2, if the current after the lapse of this timer T2, if the current is not 0, then it will issue trip command to all this circuit breaker, and this is called your back tripping. Inter tripping, it is only for the remote end tripping. Generally, if remote end is already open, no need, but you cannot say that whether remote end is open or not open. So generally, for after every operation of LVB protection, it will send a tripping command to remote end, and that tripping command is called intertrip. So we will keep up to this point only. In the next session, we will discuss how these LVB protections are implemented in case of 1.5 breaker scheme and then in the DMT scheme. I hope the concepts which are explained in this session are clear to you. And in case of any doubt, you may comment in the comment section, and in case of any problem also you can comment in the comment section so that we can improve upon based upon the feedback received from your side. Also, if you like the video, then please like, comment and share with your friends so that more and more people gets aware about these things, get aware about these concepts, and they may implement the same concepts at their organizations. And we will meet again in the next session with the practical aspects of LVB implementation in 1.5 and DMT schemes. Till then, thank you and goodbye.